What's your opinion on PM Modi? And I would love to know from you, based on the amount of history you've studied, based on how much you know about India.
Well, I'm not an expert on modern Indian politics or society, and I've never met him in person, so I don't really know. Um, I would judge a person ultimately based on the consequences of their actions. And on as a leader of one of the most powerful and certainly the most populous countries in the world, he is under tremendous pressure, and he has immense responsibilities. And again, like with Trump, I think that with that kind of position of power, as difficult as it is, he needs to think not just about the interests and responsibilities of India, but about the interests of the whole of humankind.
Do you see him doing that?
And I don't want to give marks to politicians simply because I don't know. Again, I don't follow closely. I know that there was this one thing that I've read about is this Clean India campaign and building toilets and sewage systems all over India. And this is a very important project, but I'm not in a position to evaluate was this successful or not. I've read opinions like this, opinions like that, not coming from here and this not being my area. I was interested in this because in Nexus there is an entire section about sewage systems. So I became interested in this Clean India campaign.
Yeah, the reason I'm probing you this much is because I feel like you're a thought leader from a global perspective, and there's no agenda that I have. I'm not trying to push a positive or a negative narrative here. I'm trying to understand the objective perspective you have about India.
But
Uh,
for that, again, for that, one of the problems as a thought leader that people think you're an expert on everything. And I'm not. So I really don't like, if you ask me about Israeli politics, I can tell you many things about Netanyahu and his style of leadership. Because I lived in Israel for many years, I know much of the details. I know much less about, and I do know about it from my experience in Israel, that outsiders very often have very strong opinions about Israel when they know almost nothing about the history and politics. And I don't want to fall into this trap of coming to a country, visiting for a little while, talking with a few people, reading two books, and then forming a very strong opinion. Oh, this is not good. This is good. I can tell you something about on a global level that disappointed me is the position of India on the Russian invasion of Ukraine. That India traditionally has been one of the leaders of the anti-imperialist camp in the world because of this very painful experience with imperialism of being conquered by outside forces for such a long time. And I would have expected India to take a much clearer and stronger position against Russian imperialism in Ukraine. Again, you can have different opinions about the relationship between US and NATO and Russia, and certainly Russia has its own security interests which are legitimate, but there should be no legitimacy whatsoever to just invade another country and start conquering and annexing its territory. There is no justification for that. It threatens the peace of the entire world. And I would have liked to see India take a much clearer. I know that India and Russia are good friends going back decades, but if you see your friend committing a crime, as a friend, you should take a very strong position still and say, no, you cannot behave like that.
Gotcha. But the geopolitical rules of the world administer how every country operates
Yeah,
geopolitically, and we have to do what's best for us as well. Which is, hey, we're everyone's friend because we're concerned with our own growth, and that's how a lot of young people view India as well. That we don't want to take part in any of these conflicts. We just want to get better and get richer and make our own shit here. So anyway, it's a stronger perspective on like our geopolitical stance.